Democrats could have sent anyone. They could have sent Hunter Biden, they could have sent Joe Biden, they could have sent Rob Walker, they could have sent Devin Archer. The Democrats could have sought any person to come and refute the direct evidence backed up by bank statements, backed up by calendar entries, backed up by emails, backed up by text messages. And who did the Democrats send to clear the name of Joe and Hunter Biden? They sent Lev Parnas. Lev Parnas, who was charged with enough crimes violating our campaign finance laws to, serve 50 years, but he gets 4 months. The fraud he committed wasn't just on our election system by plowing Russian money, it was also a fraud on his own investors who didn't get it.
While we're on Mr. Gaetz, he seemed to be upset about a couple different things. One was fraud, which was fascinating to me, given that his hero, Donald Trump, has just been convicted civilly of bank and insurance fraud in New York in a civil case, and now owes, I think it's $454 million, unless that's gone up with interest. I think he's having a hard time making that, but I'm sure that Mr. Gaetz's constituents will help him out as they're shaking down Republican voters. You can pay either for Donald Trump's criminal lawyers or his civil lawyers. That's the big political choice, I suppose.
Mr. Parnas, how much time did you spend in prison? 4 months. 4 months. But you were indicted for crimes that could have resulted in you spending 50 years in prison, right?
Right, they were false crimes. The judge saw through it.
Well, you went to trial and you were convicted, right?
I went to trial, correct.
And the crime was that you were trying to acquire marijuana licenses, and you took money from a Russian oligarch, and you tried to use that money to go give political donations and do what you had to do to acquire marijuana licenses. Is that about right?
That's what the crime was. That's what the indictment was. Yeah.
Right. So it sounds like everyone here today, the only one working for a Russian oligarch was you. Right? I mean,
yeah, it was.
I just heard you.
It's public information.
Yeah, no, I just heard you wax poetic.
I got paid $200,000. You know how much I got paid.
You were really worried about our democracy, and you were here to warn us. But you were working for a Russian oligarch, wanting to get marijuana licenses, but then you didn't even do it. The fraud you committed against the Russian oligarch was that instead you spent the money on yourself. So, was that what you were doing to fight against Russia's aggression?
That's a lie.
Just taking their money? Well, that's what you were convicted of.
No,
but instead of spending 50 years in prison, you got 4 months. As this hearing continues, I look forward to hearing what Mr. Galanis thinks about how he was treated by the DOJ for telling the truth, as opposed to how you're treated for lying.
The DOJ didn't listen to the truth, because if they would listen to
the truth, the question Mr. Gaetz had is for Mr.
The truth. You can't handle the truth, Matt Gaetz.
Look, well, the truth for you is taking money from Russians to buy marijuana businesses and then going to jail and then coming here to lie about Trump.
You should know better than anybody.
Gentlemen's time has expired. Chair now.
You should know better than anybody.
Gentlemen's time's expired.
So I guess, Mr. Bobulinski, as you hear Maxwell Frost, my colleague on the Democrat side, say that Mr. Parnas, fresh off of his prison time, is the most credible witness we've had to address these business dealings, what's your reaction to that?
I think it's laughable that the Democrats are asking Lev Parnas to weigh in on my credibility, a convicted felon that served jail time. I have an impeccable record. Now, he warned me earlier in this hearing that they're coming for me. I look forward
I didn't worry. I said just keep talking. You'll be there soon.
I look forward to that, Mr. Parnas.
Keep lying. You'll be there soon.
Well,
is that a threat, Mr. Parnas?
No, it's just the truth.
No, did you say they were coming for me?
No, I said if you keep lying, you will end up in prison.
I'm not lying. You're the one who was lying.
You have nothing to say.
You're the one who went to prison
for lying.
What am I
lying for? Tell me what we're lying for, Mr. Bobulinski. What? You don't even know what you're talking about. What am I lying?
You went to prison for lying and defrauding your investors.
What am I lying here? What am I lying here?
Oh, the list is long. We don't have enough time. I think Mr. Gaetz only has a minute.
I think you're a little scared, just like Mr. Gaetz. Because Mr. Gaetz doesn't even ask a question. You're filibustering. I've been here for 6 hours. And not one of your committee members has asked me one question. You want to hear the truth?
Hold on. I asked a question about your illegal business
I've been here for 7 hours.
Mr. Bobulinski,
ask me some questions.
Fraud is a crime, right?
Go ahead. Ask
Correct. Fraud is a crime.
Fraud is a crime, and you observed fraud on the part of the Bidens, right?
I did. Crystal clear.
If you check out the Democrats' report, White House for Sale, how princes, prime ministers, and premiers paid off President Trump, you'll find that China actually gave more than $5 million to Donald Trump while he was president of the United States, in direct violation of the Emoluments Clause, which says that nobody in federal office shall accept a present, an emolument, which means a payment, an office or title of any kind whatever, from a king, a prince, or a foreign state. And we spent the day, again, jawboning about Hunter Biden, who has never held public office, and he's never done business with the government. And yet, we have right in front of us, in front of our very eyes, mammoth corruption, unprecedented in U.S. history by Donald Trump as president. And my friends don't say a single word about it, but he wants to lecture Mr. Parnas about the illegal donations he made on behalf of pro-Trump super PACs. I've noticed something interesting with the people who have finally disenthralled themselves and gotten out of the Trump cult, as Mr. Parnas puts it. People like Michael Cohen, Sarah Matthews, Cassidy Hutchinson, Alyssa Griffin. There's articles about them. There are dozens of those people, and I'd be fleeing for the exits now too. What's so fascinating to me about it is that they don't mind when these people lie for Donald Trump. Then when they get out and start telling the truth, that's when they call them liars for what they did when they worked for Donald Trump. Mr. Parnas, they're not mad that you lied and went to prison for it and did your time. They're mad that you stopped lying for Donald Trump.
Absolutely, Congressman Raskin.
So when I was a state assistant attorney general, Mr. Chairman, I saw a judge on my very first day of work castigate a lawyer by saying, son, you forgot the very first rule of lawyering. When you go to court, you got to bring the evidence with you. You forgot to bring the evidence. There's no evidence. Hundreds of thousands of pages of documents, dozens of hours of testimony, but not a shred of evidence of presidential wrongdoing, much less an impeachable offense by President Biden. And you're making not just the majority a laughingstock, the whole committee a laughingstock. So it's hurting us. My members are saying, when will they call off this nonsense? So here we are. Again, Mr. Parnas, I want to thank you. You have explained to America that the allegations at the very foundation of this inquiry were predicated on Russian propaganda and disinformation, just as they were at the start of the hit job that you and Rudy Giuliani were sent to do back in 2018 and 19. And I want to thank you for showing America what real intellectual honesty and personal honesty look like, and how you can grow out of the deranged Trump syndrome that so many of our colleagues are still suffering from today. It's time to call this investigation for what it is, Mr. Chairman. It's not just an embarrassing failure and an historic failure at that, but it's an historic betrayal of democracy, freedom, and the rule of law as Vladimir Putin tramples the freedoms and the democracy of people in Ukraine. We should be spending our time standing up for democracy and not tarnishing it with spectacles like this. I yield back.
I should have brought my waiters from the farm. Is anyone denying, Mr. Raskin, that the Biden family was influence peddling? Nobody denies that the family was influence peddling. What we have here is a major discrepancy on what role Joe Biden played. We know the three former Biden associates say that Joe Biden was actively involved and knew full well what the schemes were, what the family was up to. But we have Hunter Biden testifying under oath that his dad didn't know. So in the coming days, I will invite President Biden to the Oversight Committee to provide his testimony and explain why his family received tens of millions of dollars from foreign companies with his assistance. We need to hear from the president himself. And I assure the American people that they will be able to evaluate for themselves the president's honesty and fitness for the office he now holds. With that,
Mr. Chairman, are you going to invite Donald Trump to come and talk about his violations of the Emoluments Clause?
you all have investigated Donald Trump for years, and I'm pretty sure I've read in the paper that there's a lot of investigations of Donald Trump. No one's investigated.
Well, we
Joe
impeached
Biden.
him. You were invited to impeach Joe Biden today.
Are you supporting, are you going to work with me to see that Joe Biden comes and answers these discrepancies? I mean, this is a big deal.
There's no discrepancies. There's not
No
been,
discrepancies.
No, there's no evidence at all that he's committed any high crime and misdemeanor. What is it?
In closing, I want to thank our panelists once again for their important and insightful testimony today. With that and without objection, all members will have 5 legislative days within which to submit materials and to submit additional written questions for the witnesses, which will be forwarded to the witnesses for their response. If there is no further business, without objection, the committee stands adjourned.